Do you know who Steve's dream girl is? Because Roger let out a really stinky fart. The Smith family had no choice but to stay in a hotel. Just as Steve was waiting for the elevator, he suddenly turned his head back, and a painting in the lobby caught his attention. Steve slowly walked closer to that painting. At this moment, a receptionist came up to Steve. Steve was so fascinated by the painting in front of him that he couldn't take his eyes off it. From the moment he saw the woman in the painting, Steve had a sense of déjà vu. The receptionist told Steve the origin of this painting. It turned out that this painting was created by the great painter Nagel when he stayed in the hotel in 1981. Judging from the timeline, there was no way this painting could have any connection with Steve. Steve felt very disappointed, and he really wanted to know the identity of the woman in the painting. During the days he stayed in the hotel, Steve's gaze always involuntarily landed on that painting, and he just couldn't look away. The receptionist came up to Steve again, advising him to stop torturing himself, because he would never be able to get the beautiful woman in the painting. But among the many brochures of the hotel, there was one about time travel. It was written in the brochure that one could travel back in time with a strong will. Steve was overjoyed. Led by the receptionist, he came to a room decorated in the style of 1981. Steve lay on the waterbed and immediately concentrated his attention, starting to imagine what happened in 1981. When Steve finished his recollection, he opened his eyes again. Since the room didn't seem to have changed, he immediately went to the corridor. Unexpectedly, the person coming towards him was Roger. To Steve's surprise, Roger claimed to be a hot tub dealer this time. As a result, Roger accidentally set his hair on fire and had to run to the waterbed to put out the fire. Watching Roger's series of strange actions, Steve immediately rushed to the hotel lobby. That's when he realized that he had really traveled back to 1981. Now that he had already traveled back to 1981, Steve immediately started looking for the painter Nagel. Since Nagel was already somewhat famous at that time, Steve easily found him. Steve wanted to know who the woman in that painting really was. Nagel was touched by Steve's enthusiasm, and he said that he would do his best to help Steve. But before that, he asked Steve to drink a glass of cherry wine. When Steve woke up, his mind went blank. Nagel appeared by the bedside. Because Steve had fainted before, he missed the process of the painting being created. Steve felt extremely desperate. However, Nagel told him that the woman in this painting was actually Steve himself, and that he had secretly put a wig on Steve and painted him like that.